Welcome back to part 2. Remember, we just left off by Jenny Athia saying that she didn't have any bad experiences with Meghan Markle. All right, let's jump back in. The palace did come out and say that they have a dignity at work policy in place, and they invited every single former employee to come back and participate in this bullying probe. Well, we all know what happened after that. The bullying report came out and the palace decided they were not going to release it. And I believe they were not releasing it to protect themselves because it showed that they failed their staff. They failed to protect their staff from a royal family member. For those of you who don't know, as soon as the palace decided to not release the results of the bullying allegation, Meghan claimed victory and told people she had been cleared of any wrongdoing, when in fact she had not been cleared. The palace just decided not to release the information. It also later came out that the palace had revised their policies. So obviously they found, the law firm found something. The palace staff members that this happened to have stuck to their claims, and they still insist to this day that Meghan Markle bullied them. They call them the Sussex Survivor Club. Miss Cohen reminded everybody that she was only supposed to stay on until they found a replacement for her, and 18 months later they finally found a replacement. And so the replacement for her was with them in Fiji. They went into some indoor market. Something happened at the indoor market, and the staff member was seen crying in a car and quit while she was actually on the tour. There was also some discussion that something might have happened in Australia, allegedly a hot liquid being thrown, that these two were constantly on the internet looking for bad stories. But again, this all happened when they were in the UK. Now, of course, Tom Bower wrote his book, Revenge. It was reported that he received a legal letter that he shouldn't, print it. He was going to get sued. He has written this book. It's an amazing book. And Harry and Meghan, who are very litigious, never sued him. Then, of course, you have Valentine Lowe, who you heard talking a few minutes ago. He's the one who wrote the book Courtiers. He also allegedly, it's being claimed for legal purposes, got a letter warning him not to publish, but he published. And again, Harry and Meghan have not sued because you can't sue for something if it's the truth. That's the way it works. It was after those books that Tom Bower did a new book it's an insider account titled Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors. And one of the revelations in the book was the Queen said to an aide she was glad when Meghan announced she couldn't come to Prince Philip's funeral. Now, you should know that Tom Bower has had no lawsuits from Harry and Meghan, but everything was cleared through attorneys before he printed it. And he's like, listen, this woman is bad for Britain. He gave her some credit, though. He said, look at her. Before she met Harry, she was a nobody. She was an unknown actress. And look at her now. Mr. Bower said that Harry and Meghan pose a real threat to the royal family. They've made a lot of allegations without an ounce of proof, and they've kept that narrative going. So Harry and Meghan left the UK, ran to the United States. They tell people they were thrown out. Don't forget, they left on their own volition for their lives, for their mental health, for Archie's mental health. They started Archwell, and then the Revolving Door of people started. So since they've left the UK, they've lost 18 staff members, and I'm going to list them in no particular order. Please, I'm sorry if I missay their names. Here we go. Katrina McKeever, Communications. Jason Knopf, Communications Secretary. Melissa Tubati, Personal Assistant. Amy Pickering, Assistant Private Secretary. Samantha Cohen, Private Secretary. Clara Loughran, Palace Aide. Christian Jones, Director of Communications. Sarah Latham, Director of Communications. Natalie Campbell, Founding Director. Catherine St. Laurent, Executive Director. Tanya Holness, Global Press Secretary. Mandana Diani, Chief Operating Officer. Rebecca Sananis, Head of Audio. Ben Browning, Head of Content. Farrah Taylor, Head of Marketing. Bennett Levine, Production Manager. Josh Kettler, Chief of Staff. So the staff continues to leave. They are jumping ship like rats from a sinking ship. And I got to tell you, one of the articles that just came out says that Harry is so lonely in the United States, he considers his security guard, David Langdown, to be his best friend. How freaking sad is that? I'm sorry. That just pulls at my heartstrings. He needs to wake up. So Meghan has now been dubbed Duchess Difficult. She's apparently likes to belittle people. She terrifies people. She doesn't take advice. Apparently, according to these articles, she's a poor decision maker. She is relentless. She's like a dictator in high heels. She's fuming. She's barking orders. And she has literally, the article says, reduced grown men to tears. And of course, we heard that the staff said that given the chance, they would never go back to that job. Josh Gettr, who quit after only 3 months, and then of course Harry and Meghan came out and said, well, he was only, hired on a trial basis. You don't hire people like that on a trial basis. But then it came out that Kathleen Schrimmer, I believe is how you pronounce it, left very quietly at the end of last year, and they tried to keep a lid on it because they knew how it would look. So with all of this going on, the Hollywood Reporter has come out and is taking a look at why everybody is quitting on Harry and Meghan. We do know that they're trying very hard to portray a new portrait of her, that she's kinder and gentler, but it's not really working out. They also put out a video, which I can't show you due to copyright, but let me paraphrase it for you because just everything they say is 100% true. Listen to this. The Sussex Survivor Club, that is the shocking name that some of Harry and Meghan's staff are allegedly calling themselves. According to the Hollywood Reporter, Mayor Roshan, the bombshell report investigates the mass exodus of employees who worked under the Duke and Duchess. The reporter for this article spoke to 12 people who worked very closely with the couple in various capacities. The article comes on the heels of the news that last month, claiming that the couple's chief of staff, Josh Gettr, left his post after 3 months on the job, which we're told was a trial period and a mutual decision. Gettr has not returned our request for comment. We spoke to one very high up source that works for the couple, and everyone is terrified of Meghan Markle. They quote the source as saying, Meghan belittles people. She doesn't take advice. Harry is a very, very charming person, no airs at all, but he's very much an enabler. In a 2022 Archetypes podcast, Meghan passionately opened up about being labeled demanding. She said, you're allowed to set a boundary. You're allowed to be clear. It doesn't make you demanding. It doesn't make you difficult. It makes you clear. Difficult is a name that's trailed Meghan Markle for quite a few years. What's new is this notion that coming to America, that a lot of those rumors were manufactured by the palace. And the reporting that we've done is that that's probably isn't true. An insider told the Hollywood Reporter that Meghan marches around like a dictator in high heels, fuming and barking orders. I've watched her reduce grown men to tears. Now, obviously, that's not the whole thing, but I think you guys get the gist of what's coming across here. Now, of course, people did reach out for a comment. Harry and Meghan had no comment. The Archewell reps had no comment. In the meantime, Meghan has been branded the boss from HE double hockey sticks. And Harry, he says, is spoiled and they're just demanding and they make for a tough work environment. And the truth is they are the toughest of taskmasters, difficult to work for. The numbers don't lie. To have almost 20 staffers quit tells its own story. It's unprecedented, even for a startup. If Meghan Markle really wanted to refute these claims, she would remove the NDAs from these women who she has silenced. In the meantime, Dan Wooten pointed out that the Daily Mail took a columnist from the Daily Telegraph to do a PR puff piece about how she's met them several times and how wonderful they are. Yeah. Now, there was a blind item not that long ago that suggested that Josh Gettr had spoken to an attorney about what happened at Archwell. We don't know if that's true. That's just what the blind item said. With all of this, Royally Sage on Twitter pointed out that in California, bullying is harassment and not protected by an NDA, which means that any of Harry and Meghan's employees could breach their NDA if they feel that they were harassed at work. But as Royally Sage pointed out, there is a downside. If you complain about your employers, then you might not get any more work in the entertainment industry. And so that's why people are speaking to the press anonymously. They don't want to risk their jobs in the future. So I guess the big question is, what's going to happen now? Is any more staff going to leave? The only person who seems to be hanging around is James Holt. And quite frankly, nobody's seen him in quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see how this ends up. I will keep an eye on this story because you know there's more going to come out. And I'll let you know as soon as I have some information. All right, I know that was super long. I'm so sorry, but there's just so much information. All right, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the bell. Go down into my description box. You'll find the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Patreon, which is still paused, my Amazon wishlist. And for those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.